Good evening, traders. Welcome to the PL Capital Weekly Market Review. I'm your host, Paul. Today is Friday, June 28th. Markets are now closed for the week. In this video, I'm going to look at the S&P, the Nasdaq, some select stocks, and Bitcoin. So let's get going. We'll start with the upcoming economic calendar. Next week will be a short week, holiday in the U.S., July 4th. But it will be impactful as far as data points are concerned. So Monday, you got ISM manufacturing. Tuesday, Powell is speaking. So who knows what he might say? Just giving a speech. And then you got the JOLTS job openings. Wednesday, got some more, the final numbers coming out for composite services PMI, got the ISM services PMI, got the FOMC minutes, which the market will definitely jump on that. And then Friday, the big one, non-farm payroll. So every day there's a little bit of something coming out and the markets will be jumping. And where the markets are right now, it's really interesting. So could be a short week, but a volatile week. So be ready for that. All right, let's get on to the chart. Going to start with the S&P. It's the futures contract. And the S&P is both the S&P and the Nasdaq actually are at a very interesting spot, and they keep getting held up in this zone. And so what I'm watching is, let me go out to a 2 hour here. This last push up, been looking for three waves, and we have three. This is the same as last week. Nothing's changed. We got this 1, 2, and then we got a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 wave move up. And so just like I said last week, I'm wondering if this 1, 2, and then this is 3, and then they're making an impulse. Now this 4 is getting quite large compared to how short like 1 and 2 were. So, I mean, I think it would literally have to go up from where it is right now if this is going to make an impulse. So 1, 2, 3. Over here, they just completed 4. They go up, set a new high, and that would be 5. Then we'd have to correct because we need 3 waves. So then this whole impulse would be the A, get some type of B wave correction, and one more up. So this is a very interesting spot. Now, like I said last week, the other pattern that can always play out is this is A, B, and then a big C wave. And then you're still just going to get a 3 wave correction, which we have, and then one more up. And then that'll be A, B, and C. So we're getting definitely closer and closer to having that top put in. It's just we can't confirm it yet. And given this sideways action, I mean, this obviously looks very corrective. Unless the only pattern that I see that if they're going to go down is this ABC. You know, that's the start of a leading diagonal. That was 1. And we had a WXY, and that's 2. And now they're going to come down. So this initial down move that they made today is just going to be like the first part of the third wave. So 1, 2, and then you'll get a strong push down for 3. So that's why next week is really going to be interesting, because I really only see 2 patterns playing out. It's either they're starting a very slow diagonal going down, but price will just kind of bounce here for a little bit, correct? And then you're going to get a strong push. And then that'll be 1, 2, and then you have 3 down here somewhere, and then you get a 4, and then a 5. But then, like I said, as it stands right now, where price is, this is just very corrective. I mean, it's just been sideways now since Wednesday, or last Wednesday, that is the 19th. And so and we won't know yet for a while if this is an impulse, 1, 2, 3, and this is just a really big 4. Or like I said, this could be A, B, C, and then this is a 3-wave correction to here, and then one more push up, and then that is it, and then the big correction starts. So those are the 3 patterns that I see. Two bullish that they're making an impulse. This is the 4, and they're going up for the 5th wave, or this up to here. This was the A wave. This is a B wave, a shallow B wave. They'll give you one more push up for a C, and then that'll be it. Or this 3-wave move up, that is it, and we're actually starting the diagonal. So those are the 3 patterns that I see for right now. And with all the data coming out next week, I think we'll have the answer of what this is. Are they going up one more time, or is this just going to roll over next week and start making a series of lower lows? So that's the S&P. And if we just zoom in really quick, it's kind of interesting because the S&P and the Nasdaq, they have slightly different patterns going on right now, because at first I was thinking that this ABC, this was going to be the 4, and then they were going to go up for the 5th wave, because we had this 3-wave move. So I thought that was 1. Here's a nice 3-wave move. 2 gave us this running flat here for 3. So I was expecting them to come down in 3 waves for a 4, and then go back up for the 5. But they, on the S&P, they invalidated that this afternoon when they just completely sold off, and they broke that low, the 55.15 low. That invalidates that this is a diagonal going up. So I can take that line off because that means nothing now. And they came really close to that previous low. So it's very impulsive. That's why I see this as just 3 ways. Like this ABC is probably A, WXY for B, and then a very sharp C wave, which is what you would expect. So it could be that is something, the 4 or like the B wave, and they still have that one more wave up. So that possibility exists. But I think if you see this happen, they came down and you got a strong move up, so at some point you'll get some type of correction down, more up, and then it starts to roll over again, and then they do take out 55.10, then I'm leaning more that it could be in the process of making this diagonal. And then I'd really be starting to look to hedge if you got any long positions in the market. So yeah, that's what I see on the S&P. So let's take a quick look at the Nasdaq then. So like I said, the Nasdaq, they haven't invalidated that they could be going up. Let me go out to a 2-hour on this one. That, this one, you got 1, 2, and then you got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And they came right to the bottom of the box in an ABC pattern. So that's why I was thinking that this could still be an impulse. Have a 1, have a 2, 3 was the new all-time high. This is 4. And then I thought, now we zoom in a little, that, here's the 3-wave for the first wave, the second wave, just like the S&P. Here's that running flat for the 3rd wave. And now this one, so far, we do have 3 waves down. Now, that's an awfully deep 4. So given that the S&P broke there too, I'm kind of leaning that they might be going down. But, if the Nasdaq gets really strong Monday and really starts pushing, then they could be making this ending diagonal. 1, 2, 3, 4, and then this will just go up in 3 ways just to break that 23.71 one more time for the 5th wave. So let's see what happens here. But if they do break 19,874, then that invalidates that the Nasdaq is going up for the fifth wave, and then it just becomes, okay, is this all like an A, a B, and then they're going to give a strong C wave, and then still have one more up, or is this the start of a diagonal going down? Because you have three down and three up, just like on the S&P, and so this ABC could be one, and that could be two, and then they could just be in the process now of starting the third wave down. So key level to watch on the Nasdaq is 19,874. Once that breaks, then not going up for an impulse. And then it would just be, if that breaks, then it might just be, that could be the A, and then this is just going to be a three wave move, like an A, B, C, or W, X, Y, it doesn't matter. And then just one more up, and then that'll be it. And then the big correction. So as I've been saying, there's just limited upside potential I see in both the S&P and Nasdaq. It's just unclear if we got one more up, or if this is the start of a big correction. Okay, so that's what I see on the indexes. So now let's take a look at some stocks. And we're going to start with Amazon, because this one, if I'm seeing it right, after this five wave move up, I see all this here is just a running flat. 3, 3, and then some kind of like a diagonal, and so if I'm right, then this should be going up in five waves. And so far, I think they're creating an ending diagonal. So like a 1, 2, 3. That was 1. Came down for 2. I don't think no, it can't be 3, because that would be the shortest wave. So I think this is 3, what they finished, what they hit on Thursday. And now it just came into this zone, but it came down really sharp. And so if they're making an ending diagonal, that's 1 and that's 2, and they finish 3, I think this will just be like the A wave, correct up, one more down, and then they'll go up one more time for the fifth wave. But just like everything, it's just limited. I mean, maybe if you can get it at 190, you can play for about a 5% move, but yeah, I think you already got to be in this one, because you would have to be uber bullish, because this, if unless I'm counting it wrong, and somehow even that, yeah, I'd want to see five waves after this. So I think Amazon's got one more up. That's all I can see. I can't see how they can end this in three waves here. So even though they got only one more, I see one more up. I don't know that I'd be buying it, or only if you're in it. And then for sure, if they come and break that low, 181, then that invalidates this is going to go up one more time for the fifth wave. And then I think somewhere I'm miscounting something here, because then this is not going to be the ending diagonal that I see. So you could take a flyer, but I'd only be looking if it came down into the 88 to 90 range, just to give yourself a better risk to reward. Because once 181 breaks, I think then that means the bigger correction for Amazon, their fifth wave is ending, which will coincide obviously with the indexes. Then that probably means the Nasdaq and S&P have made their highs. So that's Amazon. Let's take a look at Coinbase. I know there's some people in the Discord group trading this. This one it's a little tricky to count, this thing coming down. So right here, I'm just focusing on this, and it looks to me like we only have three waves. 1, 2, and 3. So I'm expecting a 4 and then a fifth wave down. Because there's a couple ways to count this first piece down. It looks rather impulsive. Like a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The only problem is that 4 is exceptionally big. You know, especially compared to the second wave. So if this is 5, then and then this was a correction, then we need 5 waves down, and there's only 3. So that's why I think they've got one more low. Got to break 207 one more time. If, however, that first, this is like maybe like an A, B, C, and then there's like a little running flat here, A, B, C. You know, so that it's A, B, and then this was obviously just really sharp down. So this could be just 3 waves, and if that's the case, then the low could be in, because then you'll have 3 down, you have 3 up, and then you'll have this 3-wave move down. So then, you know, because we did have, I think, it looks to me like there was a diagonal 1, 2, 3, 4, 5-wave move up. So I expect all this to be just correction for one more up. But this is getting pretty darn deep, especially if they are going to come and break 207, because obviously 194 is the line in the sand. If they break that, then this is not a diagonal going up, and it was just a correction. And then they could be going down a lot lower. So, yeah, Coinbase is in an interesting spot. If this is 3 waves, then Coinbase looks like a good buy, because then it could be done at 207 and it's going to be marching up. If that was 5 waves down, then they've got to come down one more time. And so far, I mean, this is just, it's not very impulsive for sure. It looks very corrective. I mean, you only have 3 waves, but now this coming down doesn't look very impulsive either. It almost kind of looks like they want to, this is just making a correction for still one more up. So yeah, Coinbase, it's not very clear. I'm leaning towards one more down, but it would literally have to reverse from right where it is right now. Because if they keep going up again and break the Thursday high, then it almost looks like they could be making like a diagonal, and you have like 1, 2. That won't be 3, but this will be like 1, 2, and that'll be 3. And then they, you know, give you a 4 and then a 5. That's what you'd want to see if you're bullish on coin. Give you a 3, a 4, and then a 5. And then you can wait for a correction and buy that correction for it to go up. Because right now this is just, it's not clear which direction. I'm leaning towards down, but it's not clear. All right, let's move on. Freeport. Freeport looks interesting if you're a short-term trader. Because after this ABC, we don't know if that low is in. Because you had a big 5-wave move, and they came right down to the bottom of this purple box. So if they're going to make a shallow correction, that's right where it should end. And so far, it looks like there's just 3 waves up. And then this was rather impulsive. Gave you a little 3-wave correction up. So I'd like to see them come down one more time into the like low 48s. And then from here, I'd be looking for a buy. Because I think this is just the A wave. And this is a B wave. And then they'll at least come up, you know, and we're on this 50, 72, 51 or so, if you're lucky, 52. So for short-term traders, that's a pretty nice setup. There's still the possibility that there's a much bigger correction coming, and they're, you know, going to be targeting like 43.
So you just have to be very mindful of that. But Freeport looks like it's, I think it's got a little bit more down, but it's looking pretty good. All right, Lilly. All right, if anyone is in Lilly, I think you got to be having a plan now, because after this historic run up, I do see at the end of this now, after this correction, I do see 1, 2, 3 running flat for 4. Oops, down there. And then there's a little microwave 5-wave move for the 5th wave. So there's the possibility that you got your 5 waves in. Now, we don't know until they break that low, 870, that this 5th wave is in, because that's a pretty short 5th wave. But you're getting a ton of divergence. But, this could just be the first wave of the 5th wave, and it might correct and then still go up. So that'd be a 1, 2, and then you get your 3, 4, and 5. But yeah, I think Lily's getting a little extended here. And if you're in, yeah, I think you need to have a plan on some type of either take profit or some type of hedge. So I just want to throw that out. All right. NVIDIA. NVIDIA is just kind of chopping here. I think this was a pretty sharp sell-off. So I think they're just making some type of B wave. And I still like to see them come down into this 115 range and possibly 108. But I think, 115 or so, a lot of people are going to be stepping in on this one. So I think there's one more drop before NVIDIA will go up one more time, because I still see one more up move for NVIDIA to complete the fifth of the 3rd wave. But I think you can still wait for this 115 area to get triggered. All right. Let's look at ZScaler. So if there's anyone in ZScaler, I've been covering this for a few weeks. This one also looks like there's a potential that it's got one more fall coming. This, to me, there was this like little 3-wave here and then a big up, and then you had this expanding flat here, A, B, C, and then down. It's rather impulsive. It came right into this green zone, but it almost looks like it's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I mean, I'd just be very mindful that this could be just a correction, and it's got one more drop under 155 before it reverses. So I started covering this when they had that big drop here. And then it went up, and so far, as it stands right now, it's just an ABC. I mean, they just broke the A. Here's a running flat, contracting flat in the middle here for the B. And then I do see like a little 5-wave move up. And so as it stands, I see ABC. And so it's got the potential for that to be all the correction and it come down. Now, this could also just be the A wave. You're just going to get a B wave pullback and then one more up and then drop. A lot of things can happen here, but I'd be mindful that if you bought, down here when I started covering it and you bought it in the 60s or 70s, it might be coming back to you. So yeah, I'd have a plan up here now, because even though I like ZScaler, it does, because that's a pretty aggressive move down. I think this might be just correction for one more wave down. So be mindful of that. All right, Bitcoin. All right, Bitcoin, big sell-off this afternoon,
but I still think that they got to come up to at least 63, maybe 65. If this is going to be playing out as a diagonal, which I mean it certainly looks like it to me. And so far, when we drill in, like this isn't looking very impulsive to me. I mean, so far I think there's just like a little 1, 2, and then ending diagonal. So I think that's just a 3-wave move. And so far here is just a 3-wave move down. So I could see that like that being the A. This was all the B wave. And then they'll give one more push up. And then that'll be the 4. So we'll zoom back out here. So we got 1, 2, and 3 in. So I think they'll come up one more time. Maybe make this purple zone for 4, and then it'll still go down for the 5th wave. That's what I'm looking for. But now this sell-off is pretty strong. So like, and they came into this green box here. Green box doesn't necessarily have to hold, but you wouldn't want it to go obviously much farther. And obviously if they break 58.414, then I'm gonna have to re-look at this because I mean, unless it's this over here was the 4, and they're making a very, very, very contracting. Come on, there. Very contracting diagonal. 1, 2, 3. That was the 4, and now they're going to come down. I mean, I guess that's a possibility, but that's a very, very shallow 4 and very quick. Yeah, I'd be looking for a different pattern than if it comes and breaks 58 without going back up here. I don't know that that's a true 4. There'd be something else going on. So I'd only be looking for a buy setup if you're playing it. But I think this is the target for the 4 up here. I wouldn't want to be holding it thinking it's going up to break its high here. All right, so that's Bitcoin. I think it should be kind of reversing from where it is. I don't know that I want to be shorting it here. I'd only be looking for a buy side because this is just very corrective. So I'm leaning towards just one more up and then down. All right, that's the market as I see it. Hope it helps. Thanks for watching. Thanks for your likes and support, and I'll see you in the next video.